What's happening everyone, my name is Alex and welcome back. In today's video we are checking out another electric bicycle. The one that we have here today, it's called the PVY Z20 Plus. Now this is the second bike that I've tried from this brand. I've also done a video for the PVY Z20 Pro, which is basically the smaller sibling of this bike. And just in case you want to check out that video, I'll leave a link to that in the video's description or the top right corner. So this is a folding bike. It folds in half right here in the middle, and the handlebar also folds, and this is what's called a fat tire bike. So we have 20-inch wheels but 4-inch wide tires, so that's why this is called the fat tire bike. We also have mechanical disc brakes on the front and on the back, and a dual suspension. Alright, so let's start by doing a bit of an unboxing, just so I can show you how the bike comes packed in the box and what you have to do to get this ready and out on the road. Alright, so as you'd expect, this bike comes in a pretty big box. Of course, the bike itself is pretty big, and you do have to do a bit of an installation. Now, the bike itself, including the battery, weighs 29 kilos. So not the heaviest bike that I've tried, but it's also pretty heavy, so you're not going to be able to carry this around for extended periods of time. Alright, so you have to do a bit of an installation. You basically have to put together the front wheel. You also have to install the front mudguard, the light, the handlebar here, and the screen. Keep in mind that the screen is somewhere in the box, so look for it if you don't see it at first. So it takes about, I don't know, 30 minutes to 40 minutes to get this ready and out on the road. Alright, looking at the bike itself, well, we have a pretty familiar look. We've seen this look from many other bikes available on the market. And I guess we're going to start with the back. So on the back here we have a rack. You can basically keep a bag there or something like that. We also have a mudguard. The mudguard is made out of metal. Other bikes that I've tried in the past have mudguards made out of plastic. Then on the right hand side here we have a 7-gear Shimano shifter. This is an entry-level Shimano shifter, but it seems to work fine out of the box, so no adjustment needed. On the left hand side there we also have the kickstand. That's made out of a combination of plastic and metal, but it is quite sturdy, so whenever you have the bike on the kickstand it doesn't seem to move. And then we have the mechanical disc brake on the back there. We also have a mechanical disc brake on the front. Now the braking power from this is pretty good. Probably not the best that I've ever tried on a bike, but you can definitely stop and lock those wheels if you want to. So if you pull on these levers hard enough, you can definitely lock the front and rear wheel. So overall, I am happy with the braking power that we get from these brakes. The motor has a peak power of 1000 watts. The motor is located in the rear wheel here, and it does have plenty of power for most situations. Mostly if you are on a flat road, you can accelerate using the throttle. And of course, if you are pedaling, the bike will assist you depending on the assistance level that you have set. But for most situations, I feel that you have plenty of power from that motor. Now, it really depends where you're going. If you're going on super steep hills, you're definitely gonna have to put some effort into pedaling. So the bike doesn't have enough power that you can actually use the throttle going uphill. Now, not many bikes have power for that. So with this one, you're gonna have to put a bit of effort if you're going uphill. So I'm actually gonna show you a quick example just so you can see how the bike does going uphill. Alright, and we have a quick climbing test. I mean, the first gear and assistance level 3, and we're gonna go up that hill. I'm not sure if you can actually see it on the camera. So as soon as you start pedaling, of course, the bike will assist you. And we're coming up to our hill here. So the bike can definitely go up the hill, but you also have to put a bit of effort into pedaling. So we don't have a crazy amount of power, but we have enough power that's gonna assist us and make us not have to do that much work going up a hill like this one. So this is how the bike could climb hills, and this is a pretty steep hill, of course. And as you've seen, you do have to pedal a bit depending how steep that hill is. So you do have to put a bit of effort. Maybe that's a good thing, because this way you take the bike out and you're doing a bit of exercise. All right, going back to our bike, on the back here we have the light. Now, this is not the brightest light, so during the day it is a bit difficult to see. That also acts as a brake light, and we also have signals, so we can signal left or right. But once again, you're not going to be able to see those that well during the day, but at night you can definitely see them really good. On the back here we also have the rear shock. Now, this doesn't have that much travel, but it definitely helps whenever you're going over bumps, over uneven terrain. So definitely better to have one than not to have one. Moving on to the seat, well, this is definitely one of the widest seats that I've seen on any bike up until now. It kind of reminds me of a motorcycle seat. We also have some springs here, so it does have plenty of padding and it is a bit bouncy. So whenever you're going over bumps and stuff like that, it's definitely comfortable. So I'm gonna give them that. And of course, this can be adjusted in height. It can go that high or this low. So pretty much anyone can ride this bike. I personally keep mine at this level right here. Now, something else that's also adjustable in height is the handlebar here, which is very important. A lot of bikes don't have this feature. So with this bike, you can actually lift the handlebar as much as you want. So this way you're gonna get a very straight and, I don't know, comfortable position, I'm gonna say. With some bikes you do have to crouch a lot when you're riding. Well, that's not the case with this one. So with this one you can ride nice and straight, so there is no pressure on your wrists whenever you're riding this. The frame also kind of goes down, so it is a bit easier to go on this bike compared to other bikes out there. So the riding position on this bike, it's also really good. The pedals on this bike are made out of metal. They are not foldable, but overall they are good quality pedals. Now, this bike is not using a torque sensor. So with this bike, we basically get a speed sensor. So you basically have to start moving and then the bike will feel that you're moving and then it will assist you. So this one doesn't have a torque sensor. As I mentioned earlier, the battery pack is located in the frame here. We have the folding mechanism on the side here, so you can easily fold this bike. This way you can actually put it in the car's trunk. You can hide it somewhere because it becomes a bit smaller. So for those periods when you're not actually riding the bike, so that will definitely come in very handy if you don't have a lot of storage space. Moving on to the front here, well, on the front here we have the front suspension. This has about 1.5 inch of travel, so not the most out there. You're definitely not gonna do some massive off-roading with this bike, but this definitely helps whenever you're going over uneven terrain. Now, because we have these massively fat tires, these will actually soak up a lot of those bumps in the road. So as I said earlier, the ride is very, very comfortable. The downside to having these tires is the fact that whenever you're riding on a regular road, the tires do make a lot of noise and pretty much everyone is looking at you because they're gonna hear that tire noise. But other than that, they are very comfortable whenever you go over bumps and stuff like that. We have a front mudguard here as well. This is also made out of metal, just as it is on the back. And then we have the light here. I've seen this light on a couple of bikes before. It does work really good. You can definitely see it during the day and it is bright enough at night. Moving on to the handlebar, well, as I mentioned earlier, the handlebar here is also foldable, so you can fold it so the bike becomes a bit smaller. The handlebar is nice and wide, so whenever you're riding you don't feel cramped at all. The brake levers here are made out of plastic, nothing really special about them. The grips do seem to move a bit, so not the grippiest grips, I'm gonna say. We have some buttons on the left hand side here. We also have the button for the horn. So it is pretty loud, one of the loudest that I've heard on any bike. We also have the button so you can turn on or off the lights. And in the center here we have the screen. Now the screen can be seen even in direct sunlight. So if it's a super bright day like it is today, you can still see the screen really well. The screen will show you the speed, the battery, how many kilometers you've done, and so on. As for the range, well, the manufacturer says that you can get up to 120 kilometers on one charge. But from my testing here, I think I can get about 60 to 70 kilometers on one charge. Now, of course, that really depends how you're riding, where you're riding, the temperature outside, and so on. But you should easily be able to get over 50 kilometers on one charge. And I think that's plenty for most rides that you're gonna do. All right, so let me show you how you ride this bike. We basically have the power button right here. You hold this pressed for about 4 seconds and then the screen comes on. That means the bike is on, and from here we can switch modes. So I guess we are gonna go in mode number 3. So we get on the bike and you can start by pedaling, and as soon as you start pedaling the bike will assist you, or you can accelerate from the throttle here. First we're gonna start by accelerating from the throttle just so you can see how it goes. So like this, you don't actually have to do any effort. The bike can just go on the throttle. And the other way of riding the bike is by pedaling. So as soon as you start pedaling, the bike will assist you. So let me show you. You can hear the motor right away. So depending that the mode that you are on, the bike is going to take you to like 25, 29 kilometers an hour. We'll go to mode number 2. We're going to do a bit of a brake test here. So we'll brake now. So you can definitely lock those wheels if you want to. I'll show you that again. Not here though, we have a bit of sand on the ground, so we'll keep going. So we'll do another brake test around here somewhere. So that easy to ride this bike basically. So there you have it. This was a super quick look at the PVY Z20 Plus. Now, this is one of the most comfortable bikes that I've been on. That, of course, has a lot to do with this massive seat that we have here. It has springs, it is very wide. It will take you a bit to actually get used to it, but once you get used to it, you will find the ride very, very comfortable. My only complaint about this bike has to do with some noises that are coming from these mud guards on the front and on the back. So occasionally you're gonna hear some noise, mostly when you go over bumps and stuff like that. Other than that, it is a pretty quiet bike overall. Alright guys, hopefully you enjoyed this video. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.